Okay. Good morning, everybody. A Truth and Revelations podcast 2025. This is our first one. So, wow. I am going to wish you a happy new year. And I am going to say 2025 is going to be the biggest one yet for Truth and Revelations. I'm absolutely certain of it. And I'm sure we'll have a few nods from our lovely guest, Aunt Critchley. Hello.
Hey, Jackie, you okay?
Yeah. And obviously, lovely Paula, my co-host.
Hello, hello. It's going to be
Uh,
an amazing year. I can't wait to see what unfolds.
I know it's so exciting, and we've got much to tell you. We try and keep it topical, but we're going to give you a really great intro to 2025. Now, a lot of people will know about this stuff, but Ant is an amazing pioneer, and he has been from the beginning, and he's done an incredible video which we'd like to attach to this. So, once you've watched the podcast, please watch Ant's video, and it's all about Rockefeller. Now, why would we be talking about Rockefeller? You're about to find out. So I'm going to introduce Ant straight away. Let's get straight into it. Just give us a very brief background of why you're so passionate about getting this information about out, and I know you're passionate about holistic health as well, which is very important too.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, from 2020 and vision, there's 2020 vision in my eyes. That's the thing. I saw it coming because I've been down rabbit hole since about 2012. I had a spiritual awakening back then. And in my opinion, at that point, they came from my friends and my family. They came from my daughter and my son. So we had a pub at that period of time. We signed for the pub the day they shut the pubs. We played along for a little while until we just completely refused to shut, and we weren't playing along with the silly games. I refused to treat people like cattle, and it cost us dearly, unfortunately. But at least I can sleep at night knowing that we did absolutely the right thing. And it was at the very beginning where I'm trying to, as we all are, trying to wake people up, if you like, and say, look at this alternative viewpoint. And we had a one-way narrative. And I created a website and a little brand called Truth.Connector at that time. And I was building a resource for people with links to actual articles so they can go and reference these things and say, well, actually, Bill Gates is this because of this, and here's the proof. So I was building that
Evidence, yeah.
resource. So I've been passionate about it because obviously we are heavily programmed, traumatized, conditioned from birth, and it's affecting people. Nobody really finds out who they truly are without breaking through these programmings. And unfortunately, these awakenings are very painful, but they're very important, especially as they are continually trying to poison and intoxicate the planet. And I'm not saying that everything that they put out there is bad either, but
Yeah.
there is an awful lot of bad, and people are running on their autopilot, and they're just not thinking for themselves and taking responsibility for themselves. They are just accepting what the man in the white coat or the person on the BBC is going to tell them. So it's important that we try and at least bring knowledge to the table. And that's why I'm passionate about it.
It's the fact there's
Yeah.
always an agenda to what so you mentioned there, not everything's going to be bad. And at face value, no, of course it's not. However, there's always a reason. So there's always a form of manipulation, in my opinion, in terms of what we're sort of exposed to. And that is what I am such I guess, a freedom fighter. I just think that people should have a real experience. It shouldn't be behind that mask. It shouldn't be to get you to go down a certain sort of road. It should just be open and honest, because that's how I am as a person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am what you see is what you get, and that's how I feel that everything should be, and it's not. And that's what really is my case, really.
Totally agree with you. They are taking us for a merry dance, and there are billionaires in the public eye where a lot of truthers are still being taken for merry dances, and will continue to do so. Unfortunately, we're in this reality that we find ourselves in. We are constantly looking for a savior, and that's part of our trauma and our indoctrination. But actually, what we need to do is take some more responsibility for ourselves,
Accountability.
and understand actually we are the powerful beings. We are the ones that have got all the cards. Actually, we just give it away.
The thing is, being illicit therapists as well, we have the power to heal ourselves. We do need a little bit of help, or we do need that support, but we do have that power. And what really frustrates me is that, doctors and the people in white coats, as we say, are not necessarily bad people, but they're brainwashed too, and they have been educated by the very people who are doing these bad things. So and I certainly know in my own background is that you don't know what you're talking about. Only doctors, lawyers, accountants, they're the big people. They're the ones that we should follow. I was literally told that from birth, and I always questioned it. So I want to go straight into what influence then did John Rockefeller? Because really he is the pinnacle of how it all began. And just tell us briefly why he is so important in this.
Well, Rockefeller, he's a brutal, ruthless businessman, and he had enormous wealth from owning Standard Oil in the late 1800s. And at the beginning of the 1900s, the sort of science world were getting a little bit excited about petrochemicals and the fact that they could create a synthetic kind of drug. So in the early 1900s in America, everything was natural health. They were taking the remedies from the Native Americans, etc., etc., and health was taught that way in the early 1900s. Rockefeller, being the brutal businessman that he is, and this is part of the problem in the world today, is the fact that we're dealing with a lot of greed and narcissistic kind of behavior, which is just spread everywhere. So these kind of people are ruthless. Now he's got a massive amount of wealth, so he's seen another opportunity, and that's what he did. So Rockefeller didn't see competition. You see, people like him don't see competition. In fact, his quote is competition is a sin. So he gets rid of competition. And that's why people in the white coats are educated the way they are today. Because Rockefeller, not only did he buy into a pharmaceutical company in Germany to start creating this stuff, he also then infiltrated education and the medical schools by offering massive grants. So all these Big Pharma situations, the reason why they're educated so much is because they're funded by the pharmaceutical companies that make the money. It's a spiraling circle, and Rockefeller was the man that started that.
It's just, and once you know that, you can't unsee that, and you start questioning more. And we should, anybody watching this, we should be questioning everything. You don't have to listen to us, but you've been given some information here. Start doing the research, and it will always lead back to the same people. And John Rockefeller was one of the main instigators, wasn't he? So he had a business strategy, didn't he? He decided on a business strategy, which infiltrated, as you've just said, the medical schools, but our education system. So it was always about brainwashing from the very beginning, and why our education systems are not great either. Can you give us a bit of insight on that as well?
Yeah, they're not, like I said, these people are not daft. I mean, at the end of the day, if they can control the message, so it's not just the education, it's the message as well, isn't it? So you can
Yeah.
control the narrative, you control you control the education because that's what, we don't know anything else. If you get a child from growing up to the age of 7, you pretty much indoctrinated that child, haven't you, with the information. You're parenting, so your parents are indoctrinated and you're indoctrinated. This is a long term plan, long-term game that these guys play, and these wealthy families, they're in cahoots, and they literally know exactly what they're doing. And they what we have to understand as well is when you're looking at these billionaires as potential saviors, they don't give a crap about you. They don't care about you. You'll be dead tomorrow to them, and they'll sleep well at night. They don't care. They're not interested. All they're bothered about is their bank account and staying in control. And that is it.
Yeah.
So people like Rockefeller, and he was in cahoots with Carnegie as well. They went about and dove into the medical schools, funded these medical schools, told them, in fact, not only funded these medical schools, but they made it illegal. And doctors were actually thrown in jail for practicing natural medicine around that time as well. It was a ruthless attack. And he even tried, from my understanding, he even tried to get into China, and it didn't quite work out. He offered millions and tried to get in there, and obviously Chinese medicine is still going strong, but they really did give that a go as well. So it weren't the fact that they were dealing with America in the West; they wanted in the East as well. These people are ruthless, and it's interesting as well that when he died at a very old age, but he died with his homeopathic guy next to him. He was still taking natural remedies. He wasn't taking his petrol pharmaceuticals that he'd standardized everywhere. Um, it's quite amazing how he did it. But
It's genius.
it's genius, but it just shows exactly
Yeah.
what we were going through in 2020. It's the same story. It's just the same
Yeah.
narrative. There were people that were trying to find alternative ways of dealing with whatever and were shunned, or worse still, lost their businesses, and suffered. And that still is going on today. So it's quite sad. But what's important is that we learn to understand where these roots come from, because that is from learning those situations that we can make change. And if the more people that learn about it, the more people can actually make some informed consent and actually think about what's going on, rather than just queuing up at Big Pharma and accepting the needle, which is
When you understand it as a bigger picture as well, you can kind of spot it with other things that are going on in the world, because there is a kind of a way that this is all done, and you can see it repeating. We had a guest on a few weeks ago who talks about thousands of years ago history repeating itself, and there's ways and means that happens. And once you're aware, you can start to, like you said, make change, because that's what I want to focus on now. How can people are scared, I know that for sure. People are worried. They might have a different viewpoint than they did back in 2020. They are scared of the repercussions in terms of their health and things like that. Now, we do talk about solutions quite a lot, and what would you say is a good way forward for in the head? Because I think once you master that, you can start to really move forward. So what would you recommend if someone came to you and said, look, I made these decisions, I know now that they were the wrong decisions in terms of my health, what do I do? What would you say?
It's a tricky one, and it's a very good question. And every individual is very different, but obviously people are going to panic if they learn the reason. And I've met a number of people over this past few years, journey wise, that are now suffering in awful
Yeah.
ways. I know people that close to me that have lost their lives because of what's been going on. And what do you say to them? Well, it depends on what level they're at. You know, if they've just had it and nothing's wrong at the moment, that's great news, isn't it? You know, and with a bit of luck, they've had a saline and or they've just been very lucky. If you've got stage 4 cancer, which sadly one of my friends has got because of it, then it's a trickier conversation. Um, but ultimately, everyone's got a part to play in this. So if you're unwell, you know, we've got a part to play to educate the younger generations coming through. So if you're unwell, you've still got a legacy to leave behind as well. And you can turn all of this into a positive and make good change. But in terms of your mental health, that's a journey. You know, we each individual's got their own paths, and every individual is unique. So I would say you've got to find yourself. You've got to first, the awakening is tough. It's a difficult period when you start realizing that this illusion that we are placed in breaks down and your comfort zone has gone. You are going to have some mental challenges, unfortunately, some spiritual challenges. It's not an easy road. So you're going to have to take some time. You're going to have to be kind to yourself. You're going to have to find joy in the day. It's really important, you know, because the world is ruthless and the world is brutal, just like Rockefeller is. That is the world we're in. It's not an easy place to be, but there's a lot of love. There's a lot of positivity. There's an awful lot of amazing things. You know, when I had my breakdown when we lost the pub, you know, I made this very clear decision to myself and an intention that once I've figured out how to fix this in myself, I will teach others how to fix it too. And that's what I plan to do. And what you've got to start with gratitude. It's always an easy one to start with, but getting out in nature, grounding yourself, changing your diet, you know, looking at what you're eating because we're constantly bombarded with all sorts of nonsense that's not good for you. You know, start intermittent fasting, start drinking proper water, you know, and there's a lot of changes to be made that will make you feel better. And you've got to just take each day and keep moving forward with it.
And it's and acknowledging that that's where I was and that's not where I'm going to continue. Because I think in terms of mental health, it's about you can have these thoughts when the veil is kind of lifted and you're aware of the programming and the conditioning. You might have a thought and you might think, oh no, that's something that's been programmed. So you can actually start to nitpick and find and distinguish between, is that really me? Or is it something that I've been taught to think? And that when you do that, that's really powerful, because when you realize that you've got your own thoughts and your own kind of feelings and voice and everything, it really does make you feel empowered as well.
It's exactly that, and what we're in this time is a state of remembering who we truly are. Now, the thing is, nothing. I'm writing my memoirs at the moment. It's quite interesting when you start recapitulating on your life, and you start going, well, you know what? Okay, there's going to be chapters and chapters if anyone ever dared read my nonsense. But you know, like chapters and chapters. There's chapters and chapters of these. What are stories? Now, that those stories create your personal reality, and that's your personality. But they're just stories. They're actually not actually you.
Yeah.
I'm not Anthony Critchley. I'm not the body. I'm none of these stories. I come from somewhere else. There's a part in me that comes from somewhere else, and we can tap into that. We can change our story as well. So when I had my breakdown, it was like, okay, well, what's not working for me? You know, and you've got to look at that. What's not working for me anymore? And you can change that. I don't have to play that game just because I played it consciously for most of my life. You know, and what happens is, unfortunately, as well, when you start changing your story, people leave out, they come away from your story as well. So there will be challenges when you even do that. But ultimately, this is your game. And you're the star. Forget your, like I say, your billionaire saviors and all this lot. The superstar in all of this is you.
Main character energy. That's what we're looking for. Main
Yeah.
character energy. Come on, bring it on.
I always say that you think of yourself as an orange when you start on this journey, and you just take one peel away at a time. And you know, I I think we all can say this, and you've just mentioned it about the friends that will fall away. And people say, well, they weren't really friends anyway. I said, well, yes, they were. They were very, very good friends because that's the person I was. And they were very good friends to that person. But as I'm peeling my orange, bit
Yeah.
by bit, those friends are falling away and they're going on their own journey. And I wish them well. And we mustn't be sad about losing the people because they were great friends at the time, and you wish them well, and all then you're making room for new people who you can now have real deep meaningful conversations with, and think of it as something really exciting. It's a new life, isn't it? It's a new energy. And as Ant just mentioned earlier, is that we come from something else, and we've come here for a purpose. And purposeful life is where I think is the key. Is we think we're all here, we are all worthy. Every single one of us plays a part in this life. And once we get there, once you find who you really are, it's the most exhilarating thing, isn't it? And we've all been on a journey here. And I've never been felt so excited as I do for this year. Never. And I just know it's going to be good. I know lots of bad things. I don't watch TV, but I put it on because I need to know what's going on. And there's nothing I can do to stop that, is there? The fires, for example, that's happening in California, just horrendous what's happening. But I'm not going to feel down about it because I can't do anything about it. But people, that's part of the awakening for those people over there, isn't it? They're going to wake up and go, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
there's an awful lot going on. I mean, it's every week you probably got 3 or 4 psyops to deal with, and
Yes. Yeah.
they're ramping things up because they've got a date in mind. We know that 2030 is we're halfway through this agenda.
Yeah.
They're not going to stop, and there's a lot of things we're not going to stop. But it doesn't stop us enjoying our lives. It doesn't
Yeah.
stop us coming together and finding alternative ways to do things, because if we don't align with something, doesn't mean we have to do it. There's always going to be a way around things. Like the 2020 situation, there were ways around. I remember the council coming in, all full of my stuff as they're walking in, and they were saying, well, no, we've had complaints. And what do you mean you've had complaints? Well, nobody wears a mask in your pub. So, well, they don't. So why don't they? So, well,
That's why we came, man. I'll just have to mention that for anybody who's watching this. Uh, Ant was one of the first pioneers, and I'll always salute you for what you did back then. It was a part of my awakening, and I just knew that what was going on wasn't right. And when I heard about the Crown, ironic name, in Croston near Southport, he's always got to go, and they meet up on a Tuesday. I'm like, oh, okay. And there we all went, and it was just, oh my God, sanctuary. But she's like, all these people who thought like you're not going mad. That's so great. And so for you to do that from the very beginning, I really do salute you, Ant. And what you're doing now, just tell us a little bit about what you're doing. And obviously you're educating people, but a little bit more about your vision for what you want to showcase in the future.
Okay, well, so the Stellified channel where the Rockefeller video is on, it delves a lot into consciousness as well. I do podcasts on there, but I do a lot of videos as well, and it tackles, we know that these families are out there and they do this, but they also use rituals, they also use dates, they also, they're up to all sorts of stuff, and part of that channel is to dive into those scenarios and recognize that there's more to this 3D reality that we're in. So it can get a bit deep, my Stellified channel, I'll be honest, so unless you're You might think I'm a bit mad when you jump on there. I don't know, but it does get a bit deep because it's not just about dealing with people like Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock. It's dealing with some esoteric stuff as well. So that's what the Stellify channel's about. But I've just launched Becoming Stellify. That was launched at the beginning of this month, and that's me. I've got a little boat in Rufford Marina, and it's a little healing space that it's going to be. And I'm going to be doing counseling, guidance, um, hypnosis. So I'll do past life as well, and Reiki. So I'm going to be doing that on my boat. So that's been
Wow.
launched. My plan is to scale that up over a few years as well. We'll see where that goes. But ultimately, I want that to be a resource for people to help with their mental health and obviously awakening situations as well. So that's a journey that I've just started because it's dear to my heart.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing. And that's right up my street as well with mental health and everything. I'll have to invite you to my group so that you can share that with other people, because that is an incredible offering that you're doing.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, like I say, my intention when I had that breakdown, and it was my second breakdown, I needed to figure out why it was happening. So that intention was I'm going to fix myself and then I'm going to teach people how to fix
Yeah.
their situations as well. But I fully appreciate and realize that every individual is unique and beautiful in their own way. So what worked for me necessarily will not just work out the tin for someone else. But you know what? It's one of those people think that getting from A to B is what gets you happy, but there is no B, and that's the whole point.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
is no B. We
Endless.
we've got to get more present.
Present. Yeah.
We've got to start looking at the world in a much more beautiful way. There's a lot of darkness in this world, but you know what? There's a lot of darkness in each of us as well, and that's part
Yeah.
of the plan as well. Part of the process is recognizing the shadows that's in us, and being aware of yourself. Once you get more aware of yourself, then you kind of brush stuff off a lot easier. So your mental health does improve. But I'm here to help people in any way I can.
That's absolutely amazing. And there's so much we've all got to give, and we've all got to play a part in this, and you said earlier we're all looking for someone to lead us, but we have to, by doing all these things individually, getting our own personal journey, we can empower ourselves. And we have been, I like to use a word every year, and my word is empowerment. And that is to empower myself, thus empowering others. Have you got a word? I'm putting you on a spot here, Ant. Find a word. What word would you use?
Well, I think remembrance is the key. We've got to remember where we're from and who we really are. And Stellify means to be the star that you are, and it's to find that. So that's where it is for me. We're all stars. We all come from the stars, and we are that. Um, we are not the programs they put us on. We're not the conditioned individuals that we are. That's what stresses out. That's what brings our mental health into question, because we are controlled by all of these fearful factors that they throw at us constantly. So we need to use the fear instead in a more empowering way.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Well, the fear can
Yeah.
take you places if we use it right, instead of being so scared that we just fall in line. We've got to push our way through that and kind of use that. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but
Yeah.
but you know what? Just take a walk in the morning and listen to the birds sing. I was out this
Yeah.
morning, it's freezing
Look how
cold.
nature lives.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah, I was
beautiful.
talking to, as you know, I've got multiple businesses, but I was talking to some of my business partners in one of my businesses, and they were a bit disappointed because things have kind of stalled for a little bit. And I said, well, don't be too disappointed, because this is a time we should be resting. If you look at how nature is, that's how we should be reflecting nature, and nature is hibernating, and that's what we should be doing. So if you feel that way, everybody else will feel that way. But we're forced to do certain things. We're forced to be on the go a million miles an hour every single day. We've not evolved to be that, and we shouldn't be. So, if things, anyone watching, if things are a little bit slow for you business wise at the moment, don't be disheartened, because it will pick up. It's just that people are kind of wintering at the moment. We are in winter, it's snowy, it's cold, and we want to kind of just, when spring comes, we'll be out there again. We need to reflect that.
And you're
And
right,
that's going
Paul.
to come around very, very quickly.
It's literally coming round. I mean, it's interesting that I just put a video out on the Gregorian calendar, and how that's used to control us as well. And it's there. They take us out of our natural cycles and away from nature. Everything that's coming at the moment, in terms of the digital imprisonment that they're putting out on us, is to take us further away from source and nature. That's their intention. So we've got to get back into what we are here about.
My word for this year is radiance, because I know that and if you can see this, I mean, it's the first time I've sat here to do a podcast, so I didn't quite know that the lighting would be like this.
You're looking radiant.
It's appropriate, because I think all of us have a light inside us that we can shine and share. We just lose it with all of the stuff. And that's kind of what my goal for this year is: help people kind of rediscover that light, help myself shine it more, because I know that I've been hiding. I'm not going to do that anymore, and I don't think anyone else should either, because when we work together collectively as well, the communities that we have, we make a difference, and that's where we're going. So
That's great.
So on that, so many things, and the beauty is that we're working together. The key is collaboration, and if you're going on this journey, remember, you're not on your own. There are literally millions, and I mean millions of us now, millions all around the world. There are so many groups. You want any help of where to go, where to get the information, we can help you. You just need to drop some comments down below. To finish off, we're going to put all the links for Ant, so you can get in contact with him. Anyone who resonates,
subscribe and share. We've got important messages here, and we need people to be aware of them. So subscribe and share. Have a look below for the links that you need. Go have a look. Go and support us. Just sharing something is so supportive and helpful. Just go for it.
So there's other ways we're doing. We are launching our mycelium membership, which is all about interconnection. It's all about nature with root connections, and the launch is on January the 30th online. We'll put those links on. And new this year is a Real Change TV series, which is very new. We're launching that on 6th of February, a launch party. And I hope you're going to come. I'm going to send you an invite. But it's all about us all working together, because we can't do it on our own. We have to do it together. And that's what it's all about. And thank you so very much for coming on. Again, salute you, mate. You're doing brilliant stuff. Keep it going. Paula, as always, I'll always salute you. And let's keep this going. Let's keep the high vibing and the smiling, the vibration. Let's be present. Let's not worry what they're showcasing to us. And thank you, everybody. And that's it. That's a wrap for today. And we'll be back next week. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The dawn of the 20th century marked a pivotal moment in history, an era on the cusp of groundbreaking innovations and transformative industries. Amidst this fervour, a name echoed through the corridors of power and wealth: John D. Rockefeller. His story began with oil, the black gold that fueled the burgeoning Industrial Revolution. As the 20th century unfolded, the world marveled at the wonders of modern science. For John D. Rockefeller, these advancements presented not just a scientific marvel, but a tantalizing business opportunity. If oil could be transformed into a myriad of products, why not medicine? At the dawn of the 20th century, the American medical landscape was a tapestry woven from diverse threads. Yet, amidst this eclectic mix, a new force was emerging: allopathy. Rockefeller saw allopathy as the future of healthcare, a future he was determined to shape according to his own vision. In 1910, a seemingly innocuous report commissioned by the Carnegie Foundation would become a pivotal weapon in John D. Rockefeller's quest to reshape American medicine. The Flexner Report, influenced by Rockefeller's vision, advocated for a standardized medical curriculum centered around the principles of allopathy. Medical schools that embraced allopathy found themselves handsomely rewarded with generous grants from the Rockefeller Foundation. With the Flexner Report serving as a catalyst, the landscape of American medicine underwent a profound transformation. Rockefeller's vision of an allopathic-dominated healthcare system, fueled by the profits of synthetic drugs, began to take shape. The seeds of a medical system reliant on synthetic drugs and controlled by pharmaceutical giants had been sown. With the foundations of allopathic dominance firmly in place, John D. Rockefeller turned his attention to dismantling the lingering threat posed by traditional and alternative healing modalities. Thus began a calculated and ruthless campaign of discredit, aimed at painting traditional remedies and their practitioners as unscientific, backward, and even dangerous. The campaign was relentless, its message seeping into the public consciousness, slowly eroding the trust and confidence that had long been placed in traditional healing practices. The campaign of discredit, while effective in swaying public opinion, was just one facet of Rockefeller's multi-pronged assault on traditional medicine. By strategically influencing legislation and exploiting the power of the state, Rockefeller aimed to criminalize the very act of practicing traditional healing modalities. The legal system, meant to protect the rights and freedoms of individuals, was instead wielded as a weapon to enforce conformity and suppress any challenge to the emerging pharmaceutical paradigm. John D. Rockefeller's campaign to discredit and dismantle traditional medicine was not limited to overt actions like propaganda and legal suppression. He understood that true control required shaping not just actions but beliefs, instilling a deep-seated skepticism towards anything that challenged the allopathic paradigm. The seeds of doubt, sown strategically and nurtured over decades, have blossomed into a deeply ingrained skepticism towards anything that falls outside the realm of conventional allopathic medicine. As the 20th century marched forward, John D. Rockefeller's vision for American healthcare solidified. The public, bombarded with pro-allopathic messaging, embraced synthetic medicine. Traditional healing modalities were relegated to the fringes. Synthetic drugs marked a turning point in illness treatment. Pharmaceutical companies churned out new medications, each touted as a breakthrough. Doctors, trained in the allopathic model, embraced these new tools. The allure of synthetic drugs was undeniable. They offered quick fixes, a pill for every ill. This approach resonated with a society valuing convenience and efficiency. Traditional medicine seemed archaic and time-consuming. The knowledge of traditional healing practices began to fade. Herbal remedies were replaced by mass-produced pills. The ancient art of healing was slowly being forgotten. This shift had profound implications for the doctor-patient relationship. The holistic approach was replaced by a transactional model. Patients became consumers, their ailments reduced to symptoms. The human touch was eclipsed by the cold efficiency of the allopathic machine. The triumph of synthetic medicine, orchestrated by John D. Rockefeller, came at a hidden cost. Petrochemicals formed the foundation of this new medical paradigm, carrying a legacy of toxicity. Salvarsan, a miracle cure for syphilis, contained arsenic, a highly toxic element. While effective, Salvarsan caused severe side effects, including organ damage and death. The dangers of petrochemicals extended beyond pharmaceuticals. These compounds created products like plastics and pesticides, permeating modern life. Initially hailed as progress, these products revealed their dark side, leaching harmful chemicals. Plastics designed for convenience proved persistent, polluting oceans and infiltrating the food chain. Rockefeller's petrochemical empire left a legacy of toxicity, a sobering reminder of progress's price. As the 20th century drew to a close, the landscape of American healthcare stood in stark contrast to earlier eras. John D. Rockefeller's vision of a medical system dominated by allopathic medicine had largely come to fruition. But at what cost? Advancements in technology and life-saving treatments were tempered by the limitations of the allopathic paradigm. Reliance on synthetic drugs often led to dependency and chronic diseases. Healthcare costs soared, burdening individuals and families. Access to quality care became increasingly unequal. The pharmaceutical industry faced growing scrutiny for its role in the opioid epidemic. The environmental cost of Rockefeller's petrochemical legacy was staggering. Plastic pollution emerged as a global crisis, threatening marine life and food chains. The question of whether progress justifies the hidden costs remains complex. Rockefeller's medical monopoly serves as a cautionary tale of progress divorced from ethical considerations. The early 20th century witnessed a profound shift in the landscape of medicine, a shift orchestrated in no small part by the ambition and influence of John D. Rockefeller. His unwavering belief in the power of petrochemicals, coupled with his relentless pursuit of profit, had propelled synthetic drugs to the forefront of healthcare, relegating traditional healing modalities to the shadows. Yet, as the decades passed, a troubling paradox began to emerge. The very substance that had revolutionized medicine, those hailed as miracles of modern science, were increasingly implicated in a growing epidemic of chronic diseases. Petrochemicals, the building blocks of synthetic drugs, and countless other products that had come to define modern life, proved to be a double-edged sword. While they possessed often therapeutic potential, they also harbored hidden dangers, their long-term effects on human health, and the environment poorly understood and often ignored in the rush to embrace progress. The proliferation of plastics, a direct outgrowth of the petrochemical revolution, serves as a stark example of this paradox. These versatile materials, initially hailed for their durability, affordability, and seemingly endless applications, quickly infiltrated every aspect of daily life, from food packaging to children's toys. Yet, as their use exploded, so too did concerns about their potential toxicity. Plastics, designed to be durable and long-lasting, proved highly resistant to degradation in the environment. They accumulated in landfills, littered landscapes, and polluted oceans, breaking down into smaller and smaller fragments, but never truly disappearing. These microplastics, as they became known, infiltrated food chains, ending up in the stomachs of marine animals and ultimately on the dinner plates of unsuspecting humans. The health consequences of this pervasive plastic pollution are still being unravelled, but mounting evidence suggests a disturbing link to a range of chronic diseases. Studies have linked exposure to certain chemicals found in plastics, such as BPA and phthalates, to hormonal disruptions, reproductive problems, developmental issues in children, and an increased risk of certain cancers. The legacy of John D. Rockefeller's petrochemical empire extends far beyond plastics. It is a toxic inheritance etched into our bodies, passed down through generations. Pesticides and chemicals contaminate our food, water, and air. They seep into groundwater, contaminating wells and aquifers. They drift on the wind, settling on homes and schools. Accumulating in fatty tissues, their effects magnify up the food chain. Children are particularly vulnerable, facing risks of neurodevelopmental disorders and cancers. The industrial agricultural model sacrifices health for short-term profits. The true cost of this legacy is rising chronic diseases and ecosystem degradation. The saga of John D. Rockefeller's foray into medicine stands as a stark reminder that the pursuit of profit, when left unchecked, can cast a long and pervasive shadow. His ambition, while undeniably instrumental in shaping the modern world, also illuminated the potential for exploitation and manipulation that lurks within systems driven solely by financial gain. The echoes of his medical monopoly reverberate through the corridors of our healthcare system even today, shaping the way we perceive illness, the treatments we seek, and the very nature of the doctor-patient relationship. The pharmaceutical industry, born from the ashes of Rockefeller's carefully orchestrated dismantling of traditional medicine, continues to wield immense power and influence. Its marketing prowess is undeniable, its message seeping into every aspect of our lives, from television commercials to doctor's office visits. The promise of a pill for every ill, first whispered in the early 20th century, has become a deafening roar, drowning out alternative voices and perpetuating a cycle of dependency on synthetic solutions. The cost of this dependency is measured not just in dollars and cents, but in the compromised health of individuals and the erosion of trust in the healing power of nature. The rise of chronic diseases, many linked to environmental toxins and lifestyle factors, stands as a stark testament to the limitations of a medical model that prioritizes symptom management over addressing root causes. The control over medical education, so strategically secured by Rockefeller through his philanthropic endeavors, continues to shape the way future generations of healthcare practitioners are trained. The emphasis on allopathic principles, while undeniably valuable in certain contexts, often comes at the expense of a broader understanding of holistic health and the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. This narrow focus can limit the range of treatment options considered, leaving patients with a sense of powerlessness and a reliance on a system that may not always serve their best interests. The story of John D. Rockefeller's medical monopoly, while disheartening in its implications, also carries within it a seed of hope. By understanding the historical forces that have shaped our current healthcare system, we can begin to reclaim our health, empowering ourselves with knowledge and seeking out alternatives that resonate with our values and priorities. The first step in this journey of reclamation is awareness. By educating ourselves about the history of medicine, the rise of the pharmaceutical industry, and the suppression of traditional healing modalities, we can begin to see through the veil of propaganda and make informed choices about our health and well-being. The internet, for all its flaws, has become a powerful tool for accessing information and connecting with like-minded individuals who are questioning the status quo. A wealth of resources exists, from websites and blogs to documentaries and books that offer alternative perspectives on health and healing, exploring the potential of nutrition, herbal medicine, mindfulness practices, and other holistic approaches. Beyond information gathering, reclaiming our health requires a shift in mindset. It requires embracing a proactive approach to well-being, one that recognizes the interconnectedness of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves. It means listening to our bodies, honoring our intuition, and seeking out practitioners who treat us as whole beings, not just a collection of symptoms. This shift towards a more holistic and empowered approach to healthcare will not happen overnight. It will require a conscious effort to challenge ingrained beliefs, to question the messages we have been bombarded with, and to explore alternatives that may have been dismissed or marginalized by the dominant medical paradigm. The journey may be challenging, but the rewards are immeasurable. By reclaiming our health, we not only improve our own well-being, but also contribute to a collective shift towards a more just, equitable, and sustainable healthcare system, one that honors the wisdom of traditional healing practices while embracing the advancements of modern science.